We are back with another weekly Forex forecast, and as always, we will start with the US dollar, the DXY. We were expecting the US dollar to rise from this area of weekly demand for two reasons. One, because we have the weekly demand, which is this green demand zone here. Not only that, we have a overall monthly demand that is in control, and that is why we have seen, in my opinion, the dollar start to rise. I had tons of comments saying, no, the dollar is going to fall every time we pull back into our weekly zone, and we got two reactions off of that zone. So again, more importantly, the monthly demand is in control. That is why we are actually expecting the dollar to maybe continue to rise up to this weekly supply at 103.06. We have a couple of things to monitor on the lower time frame. If you look at the daily time frame here first, you can see we are clearly within this channel. We are peaking below the channel right now, but obviously fake outs are potentially possible here, so we'll have to monitor if we can really start to get a couple candles closing below this overall channel here. Then I'll say, hey, maybe I was wrong and maybe the dollar is actually going to continue to fall. But as we peak below, we have to be cautious of some sort of potential fake out below this overall channel. But when you just look at it in general, it still is looking strong, right? We are just getting those healthy pullbacks in an overall trend or momentum, whatever you like to refer to it as. As far as the 1 hour chart goes here, things are looking pretty weak, I will admit. We've been getting a lot of lower lows here. We have a new updated trend line. I always make sure my trend lines are up to date, and this is the nearest up to date one from here to here on the 1 hour time frame. So as long as this downward trend line is being respected, we could expect price to continue to fall. However, if you just look at this as a channel, which is actually something I've been doing a lot lately, we are actually kind of at the lower end of this channel. So it wouldn't surprise me to get that push up here, and then so we could actually come Monday morning, we might actually see, or Sunday night, whatever you really start to look at the charts, you might actually start to see the dollar begin to rise and push towards the upper part of this downward channel and then continue to fall. So we are again at the lower parts. Shorting the dollar might be a little bit risky right now, so I'd rather be doing it up there. But at the end of the day, it is looking pretty weak right now on the dollar. But remember, if we break out of this 1 hour trend line, any demand there, that's going to be a decent potential buying opportunity for the dollar, because again, we have a higher time frame monthly demand in control, and we are expecting a push maybe up to 103 towards the weekly supply. And not only that, we have a very significant daily upward channel that is currently in control as well. Moving on to the forecast for the Euro US dollar, the big question, at least for me as a swing trader, is are we going to pull back down to this weekly demand? Obviously, it's the inverse of the DXY. It's kind of the question we were just referring to. There will be a few things we can be watching out for on the daily time frame. It's actually quite interesting. It's not completely correlated to the DXY, but you can see this purple box. This purple box represents liquidity to me. So I wasn't actually expecting to see that good of a move off of this area. Yeah, I could have traded this, but I don't trade liquidity. I trade my demand zones that are below or above liquidity. So I like that we got a reaction off of this area. It proves to me that there will most likely be stop losses in here at our demand zone, which is great for potential buying. Now I know that this whole zone is an entire daily demand zone, and I would say the majority of traders in general are not buying a daily zone. They're trading the H4, the H1, or even lower time frames. So once we contact, and if we do contact this liquidity, and if we target the liquidity and contact our daily demand, this is going to represent a good swing trading opportunity where we can look for H1 or H4 areas of demand to be formed as we contact this zone, basically looking for some sort of confirmation trade as we contact that daily area of demand. How do we go about and trade the euro right now? Well, I'll be straight up with you guys. I really don't see a whole lot of setups here. This was a nice setup we had over here. Not one that I personally take, but actually one of the members did take a trade off of that zone. And for now, I just don't see anything because you don't really have any trends and we don't really have any zones. So at this point, we'll be waiting for either one of these highs or lows to be removed. Why? Because if we remove this low, that will give us an H1 downward trend, and that will be our guide for day trading short on a 5-minute time frame. If we break this high, which is kind of what maybe I'm expecting here based off of, this significant push up, if we break the high, we will have the ability to draw a trend line here, and that trend line is most likely what will be sustaining us as we push up, and then we can continue to look for the 5-minute time frame longs. So for now, I just don't really see a whole lot going on the euro right now until we can either break the high or the low and hopefully get some new zones formed this week on the euro US dollar. Moving on to the forecast for gold here, guys. This is a daily time frame, but just a reminder, the weekly time frame is looking like this. We are on a crazy uptrend on gold, so my higher time frame bias is certainly to the upside. You guys can go back and watch all of my forecasts and see I've had all these zones on my charts the entire time, so we actually did get this reaction off of our daily area of demand. This is not just drawn after the fact like unfortunately a lot of the people on YouTube are doing. So we are approaching this daily supply. It wasn't hit here. It's making me very nervous. I am definitely not suggesting that gold is going to do something like this. It's possible. Anything is possible. There will be evidence and signs of this potentially happening as we contact that daily supply, which is what we will be talking about in the future. But, depending on how you drew this zone, if you drew it this big, then it was hit. If you didn't, which I didn't, then it wasn't hit. I think we will hesitate around here. I don't think we're going to blast right through unless some sort of economic event happens or whatever. I think we will at least hesitate here, maybe even see another small reaction, and then eventually break it. And why do I think that? It's not rocket science. It's nothing crazy. It is just the fact that we have a weekly trend and macro trends to the upside on gold. It's really that simple on why I think we are going to continue to go up. So how do we go about and trade gold now? Well, we have this 4-hour supply zone, which is a setup that we actually caught beforehand. You can go back and confirm that again by going back and watching my forecast. That's why they're all here on YouTube. And we caught that trade off of that supply zone. And now that we push up for it again, it's not a trade anymore, right? The trade has already taken place. It's already played out. So again, since our higher time frame bias is to the upside, I would like to see this supply removed, and any demand zone there on the 4-hour chart is going to represent a very good buying opportunity for 2 reasons. Because 1, we are removing a supply zone, and 2, it's a tested and proven supply zone. There's been proof that there was supply there as we got another reaction off of it. So breaking that supply zone is going to be very, very significant on gold. So that's what I'd be waiting for on the 4-hour time frame. Over on the 1-hour chart, we caught a beautiful 1-hour demand zone setup there from the daily market breakdown video, which are the breakdown forecasts that I release every single day for the Diamond members. If you want to trade alongside myself and the members, join the Diamond membership, where you will have access to the 38-page supply and demand zone PDF, which will be your complete trading guide, the daily market breakdown videos, which are forecasts that I release every single night for the members to trade alongside myself, step-by-step video lessons A to Z covering everything you need to know on supply and demand trading, the Sunday strategy Zoom session where members submit homework, and it's an interactive 1-hour call where we go over all of your homework and every trading related question, private access to myself inside of our private Discord group where I answer all of your trading related questions, and finally the Sunday live stream forecast where we break down over 30 markets together. And it's not just me. Here are some of the members and some of their trades they've been taking lately, absolutely killing it. And we also have some amazing reviews from some of the past members sharing their experience within the group. So if you're ready to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership today. Links in the description down below. So wonderful trade here, and as we pushed up, we actually created another zone, and we were waiting patiently for that zone within the group. We even got great liquidity before that zone. Let me just zoom in here for you guys. So we got the trade off the zone. Beautiful setup. We removed supply, created another zone, which was a great place for the stop loss from this trade to go under. And we created liquidity here. I was really thinking we were going to get the pullback, and we didn't. And that is unfortunate. Do I want to be trading this zone now? It definitely makes me a little bit nervous. We do actually have a trend line here I forgot to draw. So what I will say now, and we're actually approaching another 1-hour supply zone. This is a pretty old zone, and when their zones are older, I like to see liquidity traps before. I'm not going to get into too much detail on that, so I don't give that zone a lot of weight. Me personally, I would rather be waiting for this zone to be removed and any demand zone there. We can basically do the same thing we were doing off of these zones. So I want to see the zone removed. I prefer longs here. If you need to short at the zone for whatever, you can at 42.30, but I'd be very aggressive with trade management, looking for no more than like a 1-to-1, maybe a 2-to-1 max. So as far as what I'd be looking for, again, I'm waiting for this supply to be removed. Any demand zone there is going to be fantastic. As long as this trend line is being respected, we definitely could be looking for longs as well. But something to consider, looking at the channel view, we are clearly at the towards the upper end of the channel. So I'd rather be doing that somewhere down here, looking for those day trading time frame longs. And this zone down here is a little bit old now, so I would like to see another reaction off of our liquidity, then get the pullback. That would be a pretty decent 1-hour demand zone entry as well at 4,100 on gold. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the S&P 500. We had a great week, a great recovery week. We saw the S&P really pull back, but I mean, look at this higher time frame. This is why multiple time frame, higher time frame analysis is so important. It was really nothing crazy, and we are actually pushing towards the all-time highs again. However, if you look at the daily time frame, we are actually about to contact a daily area of supply. It's not a bad supply zone. It did remove a very significant daily trend line, but clearly we got some sort of fake out here. As we are in the supply now, I think maybe, if anything, we could see a small move off of the zone. I'm not putting a lot of weight on it. Why? Again, because the higher time frame trends are up. It's really that simple. It's not rocket science. I'm not some sort of genius. It's just basically following simple trend and simple multiple time frame analysis. Yes, this is a good supply zone as far as it removed the trend line, but it's within, like, if you just look at this, right? Yeah, we could see a massive drop like this. Anything is possible, and it's really the best time to be shorting if you think that's going to happen. So if you absolutely love the idea of shorting the S&P, this is your chance. If anything, this is going to be the time it works, in my opinion. Me personally, I won't be doing that. I will be waiting for this supply to be removed and hopefully this high as well at the same time. And if there's a daily demand zone here, it's going to represent a very good buying opportunity, in my opinion. As far as trading the S&P 500 goes, the 4-hour chart is actually very clear. I was telling some of the members in the group, you could be shorting at this 4-hour supply zone. I'm personally not. Many reasons why, but the big reason is it's actually in my rules. I do not short the indexes, especially the S&P 500. I just don't. It's just in my rules. It's just something I don't do. So I ignored this supply, but I was telling them, if you were going to get short this supply, very aggressive with trade management, as in a 1-to-1 setup. That's really about it. So how do we go about and trade the S&P 500 now? Well, again, we're in this supply zone. That's fine. I would like to see it removed. If there's a daily demand zone here, if there's a 4-hour demand zone there, that would be our trading setup. If we get a pullback down to this 4-hour zone, that would be our pullback entry at 66.48. And look, this is a pretty good zone, right? Very clean downward trend line. It was removed very cleanly. And this is our blatant and obvious base rally demand zone that removed this trend line. So that would be our high quality pullback long entry within the overall trend, right? So again, if we get in long, we're trading with the trend. That's why I prefer looking at this 4-hour chart and again, waiting for supply zones to be removed or waiting for pullbacks to our already formed demand zones. Alrighty, moving on to the forecast for the USDJPY on the weekly time frame. These purple boxes, again, they are not zones. These represent support and resistance, which is actually not the same as supply and demand. It's quite the opposite, actually. The only thing similar to supply and demand, support and resistance, is that you buy at support and you sell at resistance. You buy at demand, you sell at supply. That's the only similarity. We are at this resistance right now. I think we definitely could be targeting it, but we could definitely see a small move first, proving liquidity before we actually push up. So on the daily time frame, we have a daily upward trend line that's looking pretty good. However, it's very steep, right? So a fake out here is actually high probability. So just because the trend line is very steep, if the trend line was more, if we were a little bit further away, if it wasn't so an aggressive trend line, I would say, hey, I think that we might not get a fake out, but we're so close. I think it's possible. So it's just something that we got to be a little bit cautious about that we could potentially see. As far as trading the USDJPY goes now, I actually don't mind the 4-hour view. We have a very nice 4-hour trend line. We got a little bit overextended here, but within that overextendedness, we did create a demand zone. I don't even know if that was a word, but I just made it up. But anyways, we got overextended, but when we did get overextended, we created a 4-hour demand zone at 155.56. Not only that, we kind of created liquidity here a little bit before, so I think it's a decent potential trading setup. Trend line here, so we could see maybe a fake out. So if we do get a pullback sooner than later, like right here, I wouldn't mind a wider stop. I really wouldn't, especially since we have tons of profit margin to the upside. There's really no need, especially with the trend line, to have a really tight entry like this, because look, if you target the high, yeah, that's a nice 5-to-1 trade. If you just have a little bit of a safer stop loss here, that doesn't have to be that big. A little bit of a safer stop loss here to give room for potential liquidity below the trend line. A liquidity search, that's reasonable. Look, you still have a very nice 3-to-1 trading setup. So that's why I would have a little bit of a wider stop loss there on the USDJPY. And then as long as this trend line's holding, it's longs all the way on a 15-minute time frame. And look, if we break this trend line, break the demand zone, and we have a high quality area of supply above, I think it'll be a great potential short trading opportunity here on the USDJPY. All right, moving on to the forecast for the GBPUSD, and I just want to say thank you very much to everybody for continuing to support the channel, as we just did another donation to my local hospice for $80 this month, so much appreciated. And look, guys, I don't run any ads in the middle of my videos because I know how annoying that is, so I would appreciate a like to support the channel if you're enjoying the video so far, and if you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as far as a weekly time frame goes here on the GBPUSD, we did break this demand zone as expected because it was very, very tested. We already got a move off of it, and we're approaching the lower ends of the trend line here, the overall channel. Nice week, recovery week in the pound here, but on the daily time frame, something significant has happened as we have broken this daily trend line. And fake outs are possible, but to me, this does not look like a fake out to me. This looks like a pretty clean break as far as the GBPUSD goes on the daily time frame. As far as trading it goes, there's really not a whole lot of setups that I'm seeing right now. We have a nice 1-hour trend to the upside right now. We did get a little bit overextended, but we're kind of towards the middle part of the channel. So I think looking for longs on a 5-minute time frame, as long as this 1-hour trend line is being respected, I think it is reasonable. But since we're kind of bullish the dollar here, if we do break this trend line, any supply zone there is going to be a very nice trading setup. So I'll be definitely monitoring this trend line to see if we can create a supply zone, because I kind of still prefer the potential short trades. On the 4-hour chart, we have a lot of room to the upside. There's really nothing over here that's stopping price except for the supply level above at 1.33. It's a very old zone, so I would like to see liquidity before it, right, kind of creating resistance. Then I think it could be a potential trading setup, but it's just nothing that I personally would be trading at this time. On to the forecast for the USDCAD. We are currently peaking below this trend line. It is not removed as far as how I have my trend line rules. I will not get into detail in this video. This is a forecast, but a fake out is potential here. We have a potential for a fake out here, so we will be watching to see if this is the bottom on the USDCAD, and I honestly kind of think it is, and here is why. Because we wicked right into our 4-hour demand zone. We've been waiting for this 4-hour demand zone. Now, full disclosure here, full transparency, we had another 4-hour demand zone here, which was a nice trading setup. This zone was blasted through, but I was telling the members this is actually the preferred zone because it's below all this liquidity. And look at the reaction we've already got off of it. Basically, no drawdown except for a little bit there. So this is the power of risk reward, right? Could the zone fail? Sure. And then next thing you know, we're down, minus one. Now we're down 2%. I don't know why that's a plus sign. Sorry. Now we're down 2% if this zone breaks. But if this zone works for a 3-to-1 trade, now we are up 2%. I don't know why I can't draw tonight. Sorry. Now we are up 2%. So it's a great representation of risk reward. And I mean, we even caught a supply zone trade off of that counter trend, way more of a move than I expected, with a wider stop loss there especially. And now again, nice move into our demand zone. So I think looking for longs on day trading timeframes is reasonable right now, especially with this 4-hour demand zone in control. If you are bearish and you absolutely have to short, this would be our supply zone for a short trade. It is, in my opinion, counter trend. So I personally think looking for shorts at this supply, you want to be aggressive with trade management, looking for no more than like a 1-2 trading setup. So again, 4-hour demand zones in control. 15-minute time frame longs are definitely good with this 4-hour demand zone in control. We have tons of profit margin to the nearest supply zone. And let's say you don't want to trade this supply. Well, if we remove it, any demand zone there is going to be a great trading opportunity. And let's say we don't even get that. Well, if we push up here, break this supply, any demand there is going to be a good trading opportunity. So the 4-hour view here is just very neat, and not as in cool, but like literally very neat, as in the zones were very, very obvious here. So I think it's setting up nicely for potential more long trades, again, if we can remove supply zones up above. But again, we have to remove them first. Like I said, 4-hour demand zones in control, we could expect the USDCAD to continue to rise here. All right, moving on to the forecast for the AUDUSD, and make sure you guys give me a follow over on Instagram at FX Telepath. I like to post stories every now and then, so you might like some of the stuff that I'm posting there, so check me out. On the daily time frame here, we got another reaction off this daily zone. Definitely not expected, right? Because we got multiple touches off this daily zone here, and we got another reaction that big. I was actually a little bit surprised. But what do you notice here? We got a nice touch off of our daily downward trend line. So we could definitely see a break of this trend line now. I know nobody's really trading a daily time frame, but just kind of wanted to show you guys that view. On the 4-hour chart, something significant has taken place as we are currently breaking this downward trend line. We have 6 minutes left, but it is safe to say nothing is going to happen in the next 6 minutes, meaning we have a new 4-hour demand zone down below. And look how well this trade played out beautifully from that 4-hour supply zone. And anybody who's been following my forecast for a while, go back, watch my forecast, go to the Aussie US dollar, go to the 4-hour chart. I've been talking about this 4-hour demand zone for a very, very long time, and we caught a beautiful trade off of the zone. I wish I caught the whole move, but I cannot be perfect. And at this point, this trend line has broken, and that has left us with a 4-hour demand zone down below at 0.64. So if you were bullish the Aussie, that would be our 4-hour demand zone for a potential long trade. If you are bearish the Aussie, we basically want to wait for this demand zone to be removed, and any supply zone there is going to be a great trading opportunity. If we continue to push up and break this area of supply, since it's a proven supply zone that, again, we've already got a trade off of it, which is great. If it gets broken, any demand there is going to be a very powerful zone because it removed a proven area of supply. It's really that simple. On the 1-hour chart, we have a nice 1-hour trend line that's basically can hold up price, and this is going to be our guide. If you're day trading on a 5-minute chart, whether you trade supply and demand, support and resistance, chart patterns, indicators, whatever you do, as long as this trend line's holding, it's going to be longs on a 5-minute time frame. I'm being very specific with this time frame as well. Why that time frame? Because it gives you room for, based off your stop loss placement of a 5-minute chart, it gives you room for price to really go up. So again, as long as this trend line's holding, 5-minute time frame longs are good. The trend line's a little bit steep, so expect maybe a fake out. We'll have to monitor that if we do continue to push up and respect that trend line. But me personally, I like the 4-hour view here. The 4-hour chart's been beautifully respected, and I'm looking to continue to trade and catch some nice trades on the Aussie US dollar on the 4-hour time frame. Moving on to the USD Swiss, nice daily trend line. I was saying last week, longs are preferred, but I mean, we're sitting at the high, and that's, in my opinion, why we started to push down. It's just the basic concept of, buy low, sell high. You usually see, that respected pretty well. Sometimes people really overcomplicate things, and sometimes it actually can be that simple. As far as trading the USD Swiss goes, this has happened so much lately where we get so close to a zone, and now we're kind of creating liquidity here. It's making me very nervous. I personally think if you want to get in long at the zone, since it's been so close to being tested here, guys, if you're going to get in long at the zone, I'd be very aggressive with trade management. Even though I am bullish on the dollar, I'd be looking for a 1-to-1, maybe a 2-to-1 max, or just, maybe you could get a big trade, but if price goes 1-to-1, maybe move your stop to break even or half risk. Just take some risk off the table because we've just come so close to touching the zone, and it's making me very, very nervous, which is actually why I prefer the 2 zones down below, and I actually prefer the one at the extreme at 0.78. So yeah, you could be looking for longs in this zone at 0.79 if we do break it, or the one down below. And look, just a little bit of a lesson here. You could lose all 3 of these zones, and then you get one good trade, 3-to-1, 5-to-1 trade. Now you're back to break even, or you're up 2%, right? So that's the power of risk reward, especially when there's level on top of level. I get so many questions. Oh, what zone should I take? What zone should I take? Well, look, you could either be taking all of them. You could be looking for confirmation on a 15-minute time frame. I think that's reasonable as well. Inside of these zones to really confirm them. I think there's really all those options. And then on the 1 hour chart here, I checked it before I started recording the forecast. We held that low perfectly here, which is funny. I think it's crazy when that happens. But if we do break that low, we will have the ability to draw a 1 hour downward trend line. And at that point, you could be shorting on the day trading timeframes to target those 4 hour demand zones that are down below. But until then, I just simply wouldn't be shorting because we did not break that low. If we push up to this supply zone, and we respected this zone by the pip too, absolutely crazy. If we push up here, it's a very proven area of supply. So pushing up and breaking it, any demand there is going to be a nice trading setup. So that's something we could be waiting for on the 1 hour chart. But for me personally, 4 hour view is very clean with a lot of zones here on the USD Swiss. Alrighty, on to crude oil, one of the cleanest charts on my watch list, and I'll break it down very, very simply here. Starting with the daily chart, then we will go up to a weekly. Usually we won't go from weekly down to a daily, but I think it makes more sense this way. So we have a daily downward trend line, which is very, very significant. The question is, where is this daily downward trend line going in respects to the higher time frame, like the weekly or the monthly or even the macro charts? So let's take a look. Right? Again, nice daily downward trend line. Let's see where we are trending down into. Well, you can see this purple box represents my support area. It's not an area I'm trading. And you can see we've got multiple reactions off of this area. What is this green box? Well, that is our demand zone from way back here. It's a beautiful original zone at 53.85, rally-based rally, removed a trend line, removed some sort of supply potentially as well. It's a very, very nice zone, but what I like more about it is that we have liquidity before. So I think it's a high probability area to look for potential longs at, and it's a high probability that we continue to the downside to target that liquidity. Why? Well, because again, we have a daily downward trend line, and not only that, we have a 4 hour downward trend line here as well, respecting beautifully. Let's go ahead and view this as a channel. It's actually a decent time to be shorting as we are in the, if you just mark the middle part of the channel here, that's not a good job of doing the middle, but we are clearly at the upper ends of that channel. So shorting this past week was definitely, not the most rewarding, but it can be rewarding for sure. So there was a 1 hour supply zone over here. I was personally waiting for the zone. I was excited to see we were getting a pullback. I was hoping to see a reaction off of it, this liquidity first, and then getting the pullback up to our supply at 60.28. And we didn't get that, and that was a bummer. But you know what? I wasn't upset about it. Why? Because I like to call myself a stoic trader, which is why I created the Stoic Trading Psychology podcast that you guys should definitely check out to help you with your trading psychology. It's available anywhere you get your podcasts. I even made a YouTube channel for it as well. So make sure you guys check that out. This trading setup could still take place. This could have just been a massive fake out to the downside here. If we push up, I would like to see a reaction off this resistance. Then I would like to short at that supply zone at 60.28. If you are bullish on oil, we do have a 1 hour demand zone down below. I personally will be ignoring this one because I just explained to you guys my higher time frame perspective, and that is why I will be ignoring the zone. If I was going to trade this zone, which I'm not, I would be very aggressive with trade management, meaning I would be looking for a 1-to-1, 2-to-1 max. Me personally, I want to wait for the zone to be removed, and any supply there, that's going to be a nice trading setup on oil, or like I said, wait for the 1 hour supply zone above. Last but not least, Bitcoin. Added this one for you guys, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. And, hit that like button if you are happy I added Bitcoin, or let me know in the comments down below. We broke below this trend line on the weekly time frame. Might have bottomed out here, so that's what I'll be monitoring. We definitely want to see if this was some sort of fake out. If we break this low, then in my opinion, we'll be going much lower, targeting this liquidity and down to this weekly demand zone. So right now the big question is, was this some sort of trend line fake out? I'm kind of hoping it's not, because I think this is a great weekly demand zone potential trading setup on Bitcoin at 71,000. I would like to see a reaction off of this support first. It would make that an even higher odds zone. But I mean, look at the zone. Beautiful basing, beautiful move away. It really doesn't get better than that on Bitcoin. On the daily time frame, we have a very nice daily downward trend line. But what do you notice here? I'm loving this channel tool. I have never really used it until the last couple of weeks, and it just really shows you where we're at in the trend. And look, we faked below the channel. Now we are pushing up. We are basically 50% of the way to the channel, or halfway through the channel. So I think we could be pushing up towards the upper ends of that channel. It's definitely a possibility. And then as we push up, if you think we are going to push up, we have a decent 1 hour demand zone over here. And I actually forgot to draw a trend line here on the 1 hour time frame. Not my favorite trend line, but it's decent. And would you look at that, we have a zone at 87.787. So if we pull back down to that 1 hour zone, that will be our potential long opportunity. It is a little risky since we broke the weekly trend. We have a daily downward trend. It's definitely a riskier trading setup, guys. So we got to be mindful of that. And as long as this trend line's holding, I think 5-minute time frame longs are good. If you are bearish on Bitcoin, which I don't blame you, we actually have a supply zone in control right now, and we have a supply zone sitting above. I do prefer this supply zone because of the liquidity. The move away here, I think, is much better, but the issue is there's a lot of trading in this area and there's less in this area. So at this point, yeah, we could be looking for shorts, but I kind of have a hunch that we might be breaking this supply, pulling up to the supply at 94.764, where we can then get a bigger move to the downside. And again, if you have a bullish mindset, that's fine. We could be waiting for these zones to be removed, and any demand zone there, we definitely could be looking for longs off of on Bitcoin. If you guys want access to my full-length forecast, join the Diamond membership, where you will have access to that, as well as my daily market forecast, the full course supply and demand PDF, and much, much more. Make sure you guys subscribe so you can catch next week's forecast as well. And I always appreciate a like. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.